I always claimed I didn't care about their approval. At least, that's the lie I repeated to myself while standing in my penthouse office, the city glowing beneath me. A new email appeared on my screen, this one from my younger sister. Mom and Dad are behind on the mortgage. They could use help. I know you don't have much, but anything would make a difference. A dry laugh escaped me. If only they knew. I thought back to that night 10 years ago when everything changed. I was 18, standing in our cramped living room as my father's face turned crimson. Art school, he roared, shaking my acceptance letter like it was poison. You want to waste your life on that. We didn't raise you to be so reckless, Sarah. My mother sat on the couch, hands folded neatly, letting his rage take up all the air while she vanished into silence. I earned a scholarship, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I've saved enough to cover the rest. Absurd. He crushed the letter in his fist. You'll go to business school like your sister. End of story. But for the first time in my life, I didn't yield. No. One word, and everything shifted. His face darkened. Then leave. If you're smart enough to do it on your own, prove it. But don't come crawling back when you fail. That night I packed my bag, my hands trembling but my resolve clear. My sister, Meline, peeked from her doorway, eyes wide with both fear and curiosity. You're really doing this? I have to, I whispered, shoving clothes into my duffel. I can't keep living the life they want instead of mine. As I zipped my bag, my mother appeared in the doorway. For a moment, I thought she might finally stand against him. Instead, she slipped an envelope into my hand. Your grandmother wanted you to have this when the time was right, she murmured. I think it's now. Later, in a dingy motel room, I opened it. Inside was a letter and a small key. My dearest granddaughter, it read. If you're holding this, you've chosen your own path, as I knew you would. The key opens box 247 at First National Bank. Inside, you'll find the beginning of your journey. Remember, art isn't just about beauty, it's about recognizing worth where others see nothing. Love, Grandma Rose. The next morning, I unlocked that box with shaking hands. Inside were odd trinkets, what looked like cheap jewelry, some papers, and another note. These belong to me. Most believe they're worthless, but they aren't. Take them to Marcus Chen at Golden Age Antiques. He'll understand their value. Marcus's verdict nearly made me drop the box. The so-called costume jewelry was actually rare Art Deco worth over $400,000. Even more valuable was his offer. You see what others overlook. How would you like to learn the business? Marcus became my mentor, teaching me the art world's secrets. How to spot treasures, negotiate deals, build connections. While my family assumed I was scraping by, I was building an empire. 2 years later, I opened my first gallery. By year 5, I had 3. Now, a decade later, I own the largest private art dealership in the country and a fortune worth over $14 million. But my family never knew. To them, I was still the reckless daughter struggling to get by, posting photos of a modest apartment, pretending to scrape together a simple life. Meline even sent me job listings sometimes, in case you want real work. It was easier to let them believe the lie. Till now. I reread her email, then picked up my phone. Meline, I said when she answered, bring Mom and Dad to my office tomorrow. We need to talk. Your office, she repeated. You mean the coffee shop? No, I said, gazing around my penthouse at Morgan Tower. My real office. I'll text you the address. Morgan Tower. She laughed in disbelief. Sarah, you can't just walk into Morgan Tower. You think you can just stroll in there and pretend you have an office? Security won't even let you past the lobby. I smiled, remembering the day I signed the deed. Trust me, they'll let me in. Just be here at 9 sharp. And Meline, make sure Mom and Dad bring every single mortgage document. The next morning, I stood by the window of my penthouse office, 30 floors above the city, watching as their old sedan pulled up. Even from that height, I could see their confusion when the guard directed them to the private elevator, the one that only reached the top floor. The intercom buzzed. Your family has arrived, Ms. Harrison. Send them in, I replied, positioning myself to greet them. The sight of their faces as they entered was more satisfying than I could have imagined. My father froze mid-step, his jaw slack. My mother clung to the doorframe like the room might spin. Meline kept blinking, as though she expected the illusion to vanish. The office told the truth better than I ever could. $1 million originals hanging on the walls, a gleaming Art Deco desk restored to perfection, and endless city views through floor-to-ceiling glass, a kingdom I had built in silence. Sarah. My mother's voice was faint. What is this? This, I said evenly, is my office. Welcome to Harrison Fine Arts and Acquisitions. My father's color shifted from red to purple. Impossible. You're a barista. You post about your tiny apartment, your financial struggles. I gestured toward a painting I had picked up for $500, now valued at $2.3 million. Those posts. Carefully curated lies. The truth is I'm the founder and CEO of the largest private art dealership in the country. But, Meline's words tumbled over themselves. The Morgan Tower is mine, I said, cutting her off. Technically, it's the company's. But since I own the company, that was when my father erupted. How dare you hide this from us? We're your family. All this time you've been secretly. Secretly what? Snap. Secretly succeeding. Secretly proving every single one of you wrong. I sat at my desk, letting the silence stretch. Now, about that mortgage. Their disbelief filled the room. My father's face was nearing scarlet. My mother traced the desk with trembling fingers, and Meline couldn't tear her eyes from the Monet on the wall. I opened my laptop and spun it toward them. Here's the truth. $14,236,542. That's my balance as of this morning. My mother gasped. My father's hands shook. Meline dropped her purse, the one she loved bragging about. You're here because you need help, I continued. 3 months behind on the mortgage, foreclosure looming. How do you, Meline began. I own part of the bank, I said flatly. I know about Dad's failed investments, Mom's debt, your real estate disasters, Meline. My father finally managed words. You knew we were suffering and you just watched. We're your family. I rose, palms on the desk. Do you remember the night you kicked me out? Don't come crawling back when you fail. Those were your exact words. That was different, he argued. We were trying to protect you. No, I said coldly. You were trying to control me. I walked to the window. The city spread beneath me like proof of everything I'd built. For 10 years I clawed my way up. No help, no support, just determination, and the gift Grandma Rose left behind. My mother's head snapped up. Rose. What did she? She believed in me. I cut her off. She gave me the key to start this journey. But make no mistake, I built this empire myself. I turned back, meeting each of their stunned faces. Every holiday, every dinner, every jab about how I was still failing. I let you believe the lie. Now you see the truth. Working at that little gallery, Sarah. When are you going to get a real job, Sarah? You could always come work for me. We still need someone to sort the mail. Meline flushed at the memory. That had been her favorite jab during our last Christmas dinner. And yet here we are, I said. Now you want my help. Now I'm suddenly worthy. Because you've finally seen the size of my bank account. My father straightened his shoulders, slipping back into his businessman mask. We can hash out the past later. Right now we need to focus on the mortgage. As your family. Stop. I lifted my hand. I want to show you something. With a touch of a button, the screen on the wall lit up. Rows of numbers and scanned documents filled the display. Mortgages, bank statements, property deeds, investments. This is everything, I explained. Every dollar of debt, every reckless investment, every poor decision. The total it would take to fix everything. 2,400,000. Hope flickered in my father's eyes. Meline smiled faintly. My mother reached across the desk, her hand searching for mine. Pulled back. I've had that amount set aside for years. Every time you were drowning, every time foreclosure loomed, I watched. I wanted to see if you'd ever change. You never did. More loans. More bad decisions. More denial. I leaned back in my chair. So here's how this will go. I'll pay it off. I'll save the house. I'll even create a trust to secure your future. But, I held up a finger as they all started to speak. There are conditions. My father scowled. I didn't flinch. First, Dad, you retire. No more wild investments. No more gambling with money you don't have. Second, Meline, your real estate business is over. You'll go back to school and finally pursue what you once wanted. Teaching. Meline's eyes widened. I was the only one who remembered her secret dream. Third, Mom, you'll open your bookstore. The one you gave up 30 years ago. I'll fund it. Tears slipped down her cheeks. And last. I looked at all of them. We go to therapy. Together. Weekly. Because money isn't the only issue here. My father's mouth opened in protest, but my mother's hand on his arm stopped him. We'll do it, she whispered. I pressed another button. My assistant entered with a stack of documents. These make it official. Debt clearance, trust fund, conditions. Review them tonight. If you agree, sign and bring them back tomorrow. They gathered the papers like fragile lifelines. Before they left, I added quietly. And Dad, that night you told me not to come crawling back when I failed. His face fell. I never failed, I said. I just succeeded without you. They left in silence. I watched their car disappear from my window. My assistant entered with tea, as if sensing what I needed. You all right? She asked softly. I thought of 10 years of late nights, setbacks, solitude, but also of victories, resilience, and the woman I had become. Yes, I said, smiling faintly. For the first time, I really am. The next day they returned with signatures. And slowly we began rebuilding, not just their finances but ourselves. It wasn't instant. Resentments don't vanish overnight. But cracks healed. My father, astonishingly, apologized. My mother opened her little bookstore, now a local gem. Meline went back to school and teaches art to children. Happier than I've ever seen her. And me. I kept growing my empire. No more hiding, no more pretending. Because true vindication isn't in making others feel small. It's in showing how large you can become without their approval. On my desk now sits my grandmother's jewelry box. I've sold nearly everything from it over the years except one piece. A plain gold locket with her photo inside. On hard days, I open it and hear her words again. Art is not just about beauty. It's about seeing worth where others see nothing. She was right. Sometimes the rarest thing you can discover is your own value.